the nation's big three automakers. Nathan King has our details.
Biden's message in Michigan is that the auto workers' executives have done very well as the car industry has been showing record profits, and it's time for the assembly line workers and others to share in those profits. They gave up so much in the wake of the financial crisis and the bailout of the car industry. Now he says it's the workers' turn.
You deserve the significant raise you need and other benefits.
Let's get it!
Let's get back what we lost, okay? Yeah. We say them, it's about time for them to step up for us.
Asked whether he is supporting the 40% increases over several years demanded by the unions, he answered yes. But there are other issues too. The tiering of workers that make entry-level workers paid far less than those with more experience. They want cost of living adjustments because of inflation and more job security too. Biden is calling for fairness in an auto industry that is going to transform itself over the coming years as it moves from gas-powered engines to electric vehicles. The strike is nearly 2 weeks old, and while Biden isn't directly intervening in the negotiations, which are showing some progress, especially with car maker Ford, he is putting his weight behind the workers. Working class votes are very important in the election next year. Michigan was lost in 2016 to the Democrats, to Donald Trump. They hope they can gain more of these workers back. And with that in mind, the presidential election team will be looking very closely at former president and presidential contender this time, Donald Trump's visit, which is set for this week to Michigan. He too will be meeting with auto workers. His likely message is that Biden's investment into green energy and electric vehicles is actually going to do more harm to auto workers than anything else. As we know, electric vehicles require far less people to put them together. The industry may be battling for now, but it also may have to battle for the future. Nathan King, CGTN, just outside the White House.
Okay, for more insight into the auto workers' strike and all the economics that surround it, let's bring in Lauren Fix, editor-in-chief of Car Coach. Welcome back, Lauren. We certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Let's first just get your reaction to a sitting president, Joe Biden, visiting a picket line in Michigan, really the heartbeat of the labor movement for much of the past century. How unusual is it for a president to do this, even take a side? And clearly, he needs this pro-union stance. He needs the backbone of the American workers if he's going to be successful in 2024.
I think it is historic. I mean, he's the first sitting president to ever go to a picket line. It's important to note that he arrived and he was only on the ground for 11 minutes. So wow. We paid for that in our tax dollars to go for 11 minutes, speak for 59 seconds, and then leave. I mean, I would have loved to see him there longer, speak more about what his position is, but that was not the case. Sean Fain, who's the president of the UAW, was there. He is a huge ally of Bernie Sanders, which is farther left than President Biden. But I think what they misunderstood, and a lot of the workers misunderstood, was when they sided with President Biden for the last election, they thought that electric vehicles were going to bring more jobs. And now that they take a closer look, instead of checking with people like myself who actually do this every day, it's 40% less workers. And you'll note that GM built a plant in Nevada that is non-union, and Ford is building a gigantic plant in Tennessee. It's also non-union. So that plus the plant that has now been halted, that's going to be in Michigan with $3.5 billion of investment from your tax dollars here in the U.S., that's going to be something that might turn against Ford by the end of the week.
Let's talk a bit more about that, because this latest move to halt the construction of the EV battery-operated plant, I've heard a number of reasons, and perhaps the biggest saying, it just can't be competitive in this day and age. You think that's true?
That is true, and I think they're well aware of that, which is why Ford's building a gigantic plant in Tennessee, because they want to have that tax credit that's part of the infrastructure plan. If you don't have that $7,500 tax credit, it's hard to make your cars affordable, or at least more affordable to consumers. The average price of an electric vehicle is $66,000, where a non-electric vehicle, the average price is $49,000. So you can see that variance makes it even more difficult to be competitive. So building a plant...
But in fairness, those two sides are coming a lot closer together now, though, aren't they? the EV?
Well, well, it's important to note not one car manufacturer, not even Tesla, makes a profit on electric vehicles. Tesla makes their money through a lot of other ways, in addition to selling the carbon credits to car manufacturers that don't make electric vehicles, but nobody's making money on them. So the choice was billions of dollars in fines from the EPA or millions of dollars in losses.
Okay,
So I'm not taking the side of the manufacturers. By the way, I think the UAW workers are underpaid. Besides,
absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the negotiations going on, because Ford has had some success where the other two major U.S. car makers are not. What is setting Ford aside, and really, how concerned are you that this thing could just drag on and on and on?
Oh, I'm going to predict this goes on for weeks on end. They're willing to do this stand-up walkout, essentially targeted, as they're calling it. So initially, what we're talking about is every car manufacturer came up to around 20% increase over 4 years, and only Ford came in with a cost of living raise, which was completely absorbed with the current cost of inflation. So even what they did negotiate in the past is gone. So these people are making starting pay at $17 an hour. You can make more than that at McDonald's. And I understand that they want that union support because of the benefits. So I do think they need to come up on the wages, but I don't think they're ever going to make that 44% increase, which is what they originally asked. They're at a middle point of about 33% right now. They're far apart. GM and Stellantis have not been negotiating well, so they got punished. 38 plants, parts plants, locations were shut down. My guess, Friday, there's going to be more shutdowns.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Ford's going to be a part of it.
The chance of more layoffs and just the economic impact of all of this. I mean, it's got to be punishing.
It is punishing, not just for the car manufacturers, but also suppliers, whether they be union or non-union workers. Right now, we're over $1.5 billion in economic impact. You've got workers that can't go on unemployment. They get paid $500 a week. So you have to feel for these workers. I mean, they're part of a union. They have to stand in lockstep. I understand that. But they can't live on $500 a week. And so this can go on for a long time. So it's going to hurt them. It's hurting car makers, but not enough yet. But it's also hurting suppliers that supply components, whether they be union or non-union, to the manufacturers. So we're starting to see other brands like ZF had to let go people. Some of the stamping plants that were union also let go people. And we still haven't seen any alignment with the Teamsters, which I expect is coming.
Yeah. Lauren, let's also look at tomorrow. It's going to be interesting. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is going to be out on the picket line. I'm willing to bet he stays longer than 11 minutes and speaks more than 59 seconds. And secondly, I spent time 2016 and 2020 covering unions up in that area. And the thing that struck me, the union chiefs seem to support the Democratic leadership, but the rank and file, I saw a huge move toward Trump, not all Republicans, toward Trump. What do you expect to see tomorrow?
I expect that he'll have a full house at Drake Enterprises, which is where he's going to speak. He is kind of that old blue dog Democrat we used to say many years ago. So he does kind of align himself with a lot of the workers. About 40% of the UAW workers are supportive of Trump, but he's also got a lot of non-union workers. So I think it's going to be definitely, I will guarantee you're correct, more than 11 minutes, speaking longer than 59 seconds, and I promise you he's going to rile up the crowd. I'm sure there'll be people there from both sides, and this is a political football, which is probably not good for the UAW. They really just need to negotiate the rates and get this sorted out rather than getting politics involved. I don't think helps the UAW at all.
We don't want to see this football turn into a time bomb. Lauren, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for your insight.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll check back with you.